This GiveIt Forms video is for Donorfy. Please be aware this demo may include features outside of your band. Let's take a look at the communications group of fields. Down here in the left-hand navigation, we have a bank of fields here under the communications heading, all reporting to Donorfy. This comprises permissions, purposes, and tags. So everything in here is going to give you a better picture for communicating with your constituents or segmenting them for targeted communication. Let's add an email permission field to our form. The visible label that we supply here will be visible for our end user, so we need to make that meaningful. Can we contact you by email? Question mark, that stands to reason. Sublabel, that's optional. I will forego supplying that on this occasion. We can make this a required field. For GDPR purposes, that may well not be what's the best practice, but owing to soft opt-in, we can force opt-in. To tick that box means that this field will be present in the form, but it won't render anything to the user. So the option to, or the question, can we contact you by email, the email permission will already be set to yes by default. We will untick that for the time being though, so that you can see it when we preview. So that's it, that's the email permission. That will render as a yes, no, 2 buttons situation. The user gets to explicitly consent to email or opt out of email. The same is also true of, where I've gone too far, post. Can we contact you by post? But let's force opt in that one so you can see the difference that makes. And SMS, as you can appreciate, phone, same and same again. Let's take a look at a purpose. If we add a purpose to our form, we want to present that with a question to our user as well. A purpose in Donorfy, I've seen different organizations use purposes in different ways, so tailor this to your own needs. But a classic example might be, would you like to hear about volunteer opportunities? So a purpose being the purpose of the communications. What is the purpose? What are we sending you information about? So are you wanting to opt in to this volunteer opportunities purpose? So that's my label to entice the user to do that. Again, we can require them so that they have to. If this were a volunteer registration form, for example, it might be pertinent that they have to opt into that purpose for the sake of onward communication, but we will not make that required in this instance. Now we carry a render mode for purposes. Reason being, if it's hidden, we can set a purpose without asking the user. The context, as I say, of the form might be such that we need to have them opt in to this particular purpose to be able to email them about communications attributed to that purpose, and so we don't want to give them the option to opt out of doing that. Therefore, the render mode is that it's hidden. It will be a field in our form, and it will pass through a positive opt-in to that purpose without presenting anything to the end user. We do have a checkbox though where we can ask their permission, as you can appreciate. That then becomes yes, I'm happy for this. Terrible label, don't write that for your own form. This is the label that will sit beside the checkbox that then allows them to check in or check out, opt in, opt out of this purpose. And the last 2 bits of configuration in here, Donorfy will allow you to associate purposes with channels. So given, would you like to hear about volunteer opportunities? We might be doing that by email. So this will engage the email channel. And the purpose name, volunteer opportunities. No, I did have that right, opportunities. This labeling here, this purpose name, has to match verbatim what you've called your purpose over in Donorfy. So make sure that that's exactly a match. Copy and paste that across if you're unsure. Associating the purpose with the email. This guarantees that they will opt into the email channel if that's the only way that you communicate to people about volunteer opportunities. This flies in the face of the fact you've already got a permission for email as a separate field in this form. We already put this in. If the user opts out of email here, but then opts into the receipt of this volunteer opportunity, and the only way that you communicate about the volunteer opportunities is through email, this answer negates this answer. It doesn't matter about the order at all. If they encounter this question first and then this one, still if they opt in here but opt out here, this will persevere. Okay, let's add some more segmentation to our form. Let's introduce a Donorfy tag. The visible label for this tag, just for the moment, I'm going to call this volunteer tag, and that makes it more of a visible label for me, the admin, as the field's going to appear over here in the editor, and less so for the end user, because by default, tags have a render mode of hidden, which means that they don't surface on the final form anyway. They're not going to appear there. The data is still going to be captured through the form submission, but there'll be no question presented to the user. What's that going to capture? Well, it's going to capture these two fields here. So Donorfy's tags are split into two pieces of data. One, the parent category of the tag, and two, the actual tag within the category. So let's imagine in Donorfy you have a tag category of volunteers. Volunteering is probably more likely. And then tag name all. If I set this now, it's gone into my form. Again, it's got the hidden eyeball icon. It's a grey tint as opposed to the typical white. This means it's a hidden field. It's in our form, and it's going to silently capture this tag opt-in. Well, it's not really an opt-in. You don't opt in and out of tags in Donorfy, but a setting of this tag is going to take place without the user's inference. But if we edit this and change the render mode to a checkbox, we then give them the power to actually opt in to being tagged in this way. They won't understand what tagging is exactly, so we'll need to change the context of that. This could perhaps become, are you available, if I spelled that right, available for weekend volunteering? Again, not spelled right. Question mark. We'll change the tag that's being captured to weekend, and then for the checkbox label, yes, I can do weekends. Becomes the label literally associated with the checkbox that then renders. So the tag is now no longer a hidden field, it's a visible field, and that's the presentation of it. Let's save our changes there and take a look at our form in preview mode. And here we are. Would you like to hear about volunteer opportunities? I failed to put a question mark there. Yes, I'm happy for this. Bang. So now the user's opted into that. Can we contact you by email? That's a yes, no. Are you available for weekend volunteering? Yes. There were 5 questions or 5 fields in our form makeup, but there are only 3 that render here. The other 2 are silently opting in or setting those conditional configurations without the user having to invoke any of them.